Thank you for joining Servant Crafts. In our versus yarn video, we are going to look at cotton yarn versus acrylic yarn and see what works best for what. You may have a favorite already. You may have some information that you can share with all of us. We'd love to hear it. Add it to the comments down below. Let's get started. Cotton yarn versus acrylic yarn. What is acrylic yarn? Acrylic yarn is made from a petroleum product. So it's got some basis in the whole gasoline industry, your petroleum industry. It was found that it could be spun and wound into nice yarns like this. Some of the benefits of acrylic yarn is that it's really inexpensive because it doesn't have to go through such a washing process and a carding process. It can be manufactured very quickly and very easily. It comes in, as you can see, this is a beautiful color, I think anyway. It comes in a wide range of colors. This one is let me tell you what this one is. This is Caron Simply Soft Light yarn. It is a 3. If you look at your yarn labels have so much information for you. It's a 3, so it's a light or a sport weight yarn. And it is a color called Hawaiian Sky. So this is a very nice, soft, shiny yarn. It's easy to clean. Acrylic is so easy to clean. It can go in the washer and it can go in the dryer. I prefer to keep knitted or crocheted products from going into the dryer. Sometimes I might tumble it for a little while, but I don't dry it completely and then I'll lay it flat. It just helps it to hold its shape better. But that's another thing that acrylic yarn is wonderful for, is you don't have to block it. The shape that you make it is the shape that it will be. And so it's easy to clean. You can use pretty much any detergent. It's not sensitive like a wool or something like that would be. So if you're knitting something or crocheting something that is going to need to have lots of washings, is worn a lot over and over, this is really good. It's acrylic is great. Acrylic is also great because it's really durable. It's got a lot of strength even for its lightweight fiber. So it will last and last. It's warm and it can be lightweight. It's usually lighter weight than a natural fabric. It's funny, but when I pick up this cotton yarn, look at how much smaller the ball is, and yet the weight of it is almost the same or possibly a little heavier. So the weight when you make something up is very light. It can have a great drape. It's non-allergenic. Non-allergenic. Now that's really important for me because I'm highly allergic to lanolin in wool products. So I have to be careful. So a large percentage of my stash of yarn is acrylic. And you can get, depending on the kind of acrylic yarn you go with, you can get great stitch definition. There are some that have the, more of a furry kind of a look or a stubbly kind of a look. You'll get less stitch definition there. But these that are smooth, this one's actually even a little bit, got a little bit of sheen or shine to it. You can get great stitch definition with those. Projects with acrylic yarn, again, like I said earlier, hold their shape and they don't have to be blocked. They don't stretch. Now, disadvantages to acrylic. It doesn't breathe. So if it's something that's worn against the skin, it can collect perspiration and it can really hold odors. So watch out for that. Be careful with acrylic yarn, it melts. So you cannot block it. You cannot touch an iron to it. If it gets too close to a flame or a fire, it will melt. So, and I mean too close as in almost touching it. Certainly you can wear an acrylic sweater and sit by the fire and not have to worry. But beware that it does melt. And if you buy a really inexpensive acrylic yarn, you may not be as satisfied with the results because some of the very, very, very inexpensive yarns are not smooth. They're rough. If they're going to be worn, something that's worn or a blanket, they can be rough. So you need to purchase carefully if it's an item for a blanket or an infant or a child, or if it's something that is going to be worn next to the skin. So watch out for that. But with high quality acrylic, you can totally avoid that. So what is cotton yarn? Cotton is obviously a natural plant that's grown and processed. It is very versatile. Again, like acrylic, it can be dyed in a rainbow of colors. And it, one of the things I forgot to mention about acrylic yarn is when it's dyed, and it is dyed in large quantities, your dye lot is less important in acrylic yarn. And that's because the acrylic yarn fibers will accept dye the same way every time. Where a cotton product or another natural product accepts dyes differently based on the batch that it was mixed in, based on, for cotton, say, how it was grown, how it was treated after it was grown. Same with like wool, and sometimes, and those don't dye as evenly, those fibers don't dye as consistently and evenly as a natural fiber, or I'm sorry, as an acrylic fiber. So here we are with the cotton yarn. This is Patons Grace. I love this yarn. I also love the Caron Simply Soft. So, but this Patons, I've made a lot of stuff with this cotton yarn. It also is a 3, so it's a light sport weight. You can see it's pretty thin fiber. It is 100, this one is 100% mercerized cotton. Mercerized, I think, means that it has a little bit of a sheen. It's a little machined, I don't know. It has a little bit, it's very soft, it's very, very smooth, and it is 100% cotton. This small ball is, trying to see where it says, yeah, this is a 50-gram ball or a 1.75 ounce. It's also considered a 3, the same as the acrylic that I had. So, benefits for cotton: it's breathable, so you're less likely to perspire. It's a wonderful option for something that you're going to make to wear in the summer, especially living in the Southwest. It is warm here. I mean, it's November and we're in the 90s today, so it's warm here all the time. So I have a great love for cotton. It has great stitch definition, so that means that for beginners, both of these kinds of yarns are good choices. Possibly acrylic would be a better choice for a beginner just because of the price, so that you could use it, rip it out, cut it off, start again, and not be as concerned about price. The cotton is going to have a little heavier price tag, so maybe you might have a little concern. So I would not choose this cotton as your practice yarn. But stitch definition is important when you're just beginning, so that you can learn to count your stitches, you can see where your next stitch goes in, and lighter colors for that are better. Black, like this, very hard to see. I get out my magnifying glass, not because I need it bigger, but because my magnifying glass has a light on it, and that helps. So cotton is absorbent, so it is going to absorb like perspiration, and then it'll wick it away and kind of let it dry. So cotton is really good for things like washcloths and dishcloths, and very good for hot pads. You never want to use an acrylic for a hot pad. Like I said, it melts. It's going to be very close to heat. If you're using it as a hot pad, don't use it. So this also, the cotton can dye in many, many, many colors. Very beautiful to dye and to work with. However, although cotton is machine washable, if you use it in a dark color, it can bleed. So like if you're doing something that's striped, like if I was going to do like a black and white striped sweater, I don't know that I would choose cotton because the black stripe may bleed into your white stripes. So that's something that you need to think about. But cotton does machine wash. It does dry, but it has a potential for some shrinkage because it is cotton. So depending on how you dry it, you may choose not to dry it in the dryer, to dry it on a very cool setting, whichever, but it can tolerate it. It is rugged and it's very durable, just like acrylic. So it's a great option for children's clothing and blankets. It will last. You can get it thicker. Certainly, this is a fairly thin spun, but the heavier you get it, the more durable it will become. Now, what are the disadvantages to cotton? Well, I just told you, it bleeds. It can bleed. So you do need to be careful of the color choices that you're making when you're using cotton and how you're mixing or blending those colors. Cotton can be a little tricky to knit. Depending on the cotton, it can be harder to knit because the fiber is kind of rough, and it kind of can cause some hand strain if you're crocheting or knitting with it. I haven't had a problem with it, but I generally use this mercerized cotton, which is shinier and smoother, and I don't get that issue. But sometimes it's slippery, and it's slippery for somebody maybe who's just beginning. So again, the perfect beginner practice yarn is always going to be your acrylic, but cotton can work, and give it a try. Try a swatch or two, see how your hands react to it. Again, I have arthritis in my hands, mostly from doing all this crocheting and stuff, but love it, won't stop. The cotton, I've not found a difference in whether it bothers my hands or not. The other thing is, this is cotton. What does your cute cotton top or dress do when you sit down? It wrinkles and creases. So does your yarn. So you need to be aware of that when you're making apparel. And if you are to be working with it and set it aside or something, it can get creased and wrinkled. This is the real downside for anybody who is considering the environment. Of course, cotton can be grown and it's environmentally friendly because it is a plant. However, the cotton industry can use very heavy pesticides, and that's going to end up in your yarn as well if you buy a non-organic cotton yarn. Now, I don't see that this one says organic anywhere. It says it's made in Turkey, packaged in Canada, but it doesn't talk to me about how the yarn is grown. So again, that's if you're talking, and we all should have a certain understanding of the impact of the products that we purchase and have on the environment. So both products have some negative environmental concerns. So let's go over real quick. Basic overview. Cotton yarn, super smooth to the touch. Acrylic yarn can have a rough texture. Cotton yarn, eco-friendly if it's made from natural fibers and not used with pesticides. Acrylic yarn, not eco-friendly, it is a petroleum-based product. Cotton yarn, highly breathable. Acrylic yarn, not breathable. Cotton yarn has a high absorbent properties. In other words, it's going to soak in water, and acrylic yarn holds on to water, and it also holds on to the perspiration. So, and it doesn't dry as easily. Cotton yarn always offers great results as far as stitch definition. Acrylic yarn can have varied results based on the product and the amount that you chose to spend on it. A high quality acrylic yarn will have great results, but a low quality acrylic yarn may have questionable results in the end. Cotton can be laden with pesticides, and if you don't opt for an organic brand. Acrylic made from petrochemicals, so petroleum based. Cotton yarn, beginners may find a bit tricky because of it being slippery or because of it maybe having a little bit more tension. Acrylic yarn, very easy to work with and a great beginner product. So I will tell you that 90% of my stash is acrylic. The other percent is other mixtures of different yarns. I have very little wool because of my allergy to that. A favorite for me is this wonderful yarn I found. It's called naturallycaron.com, and it's called Spa. And this is a silky bamboo blend. It is 75% micro denier acrylic. I have no idea what that means. If you know, put it in the comments. Educate us all. 25% rayon from bamboo. So it's acrylic and bamboo. I don't know if you can tell by the camera, but it has got a beautiful sheen. It is so soft. I used this to make a sweater for my granddaughter when she was about 2. I have enough left over to make another one, so I plan to do that. Maybe I'll videotape that and put that in my Etsy shop as well. But this, when they say spa, this is like being wrapped in a spa blanket. It is so wonderful. Again, it is an acrylic. I guess it's 75% acrylic, so it is acrylic product, but bamboo is very, very eco-friendly. And because this is naturally Caron, I'm assuming that it's bamboo that is not treated too much, like not with pesticides or anything like that. So, and bamboo has a antibacterial quality to it that is great if you're using it for children's clothing or blankets. And this one says that it is, I'm trying to look for the washing instructions. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it can go in a cool washer and it can go in the dryer. So you're going to have kind of the same results from this as you would from an acrylic, because it is 75% acrylic, but the bamboo silk just makes this, it's lovely. It's like working with silk without all the issues of how you have to care for silk. So I hope that this has been a little bit of an education to you. If you know something more about yarn, if you know how these are processed and some great brands or some brands that we should absolutely stay away from because of one reason or another, please leave it in our comments. Let us all be smarter tomorrow than we were today about what yarns we choose for what projects. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.